Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. Working backwards through the alphabet, we're in the letter M, and these are some interesting M's. Well, two interesting M's here. We have String Quartets by Elizabeth Maconchy. Remember her? She was born in 1907. It doesn't say when she passed away, but she did. I can look it up, I suppose. But this series of her string quartets, there are 13 of them, was released on Unicorn back in 1989, 90, and 90. Yeah, that's it. It's very, very interesting because she was rediscovered back when, lady composers were not a thing. She was just discovered as a composer who wrote this rather lovely and interesting series of string quartets. They're astringent, yes, they are, but they're very, very much worth listening to. And she had her 15 minutes of fame as a string quartet composer. Then she disappeared, poof, like that, along with Unicorn, the label, actually. She sort of went with them. But she was fairly old, as you can tell, since she was born in 1907. And it wasn't until the late 80s when her string quartet output was discovered. And like many, I read about this and I purchased the recordings and listened to them and enjoyed them. And I still do. I think she was a composer of substance. It would be interesting, sometimes people get revived and then they disappear and they don't get revived again. It would be really nice to see a little bit more in-depth coverage of some of these worthy composers rather than having these one-off efforts. But these are very good performances. The Mystery String Quartet did one album. The Bingham String Quartet did another. And the Hanson String Quartet did the third. Actually, I have it in reverse order. It goes the other way. But it doesn't matter. String Quartets 1 through 4, 5 through 8, and then 9 through 13. So it's nice to be able to mention her again. And I do hope to hear more, maybe someday. Now that lady composers are a thing, like I said, it would be good to go back and revisit some of the other ones who broke the glass ceiling, not because they were women, but because they wrote good music, Just saying. Then, let's see, what else have we got here? James MacMillan. He's our other guy. I got a pile of MacMillan because there was a big series of his orchestral works on Bis. MacMillan is another composer of substance. I am a little bit, I tend to take a sidelong glance at pieces which exploit spiritual or religious themes, but which otherwise have no spiritual or religious substance. And I really think he did a lot of that, actually. Not that it's bad music. It's not. It's very interesting music. But what the titles have to do with what the music does, I think some of it is kind of opportunistic. As, for example, here, this percussion concerto, Veni, Veni, Emmanuel. Well, it's a percussion concerto. He wrote it for Evelyn Glennie. That also made a big splash for a while. It's an enjoyable piece. As I've said millions of times, I don't fundamentally believe in percussion concertos. I've heard some interesting ones and things that I find attractive in spots. And I'm a percussionist, right? Here we are, percussionist. But the problem is that however interesting the timbres, it's very difficult to write a concerto around instruments, a lot of which are unpitched, or if they are pitched, have such a limited expressive range that they only decorate other pitched things like strings. So, this is neither better nor worse of its type. It's actually very entertaining, but it has not, I don't play it frequently. I can't see myself playing it frequently. And the fact that it's called Veni, Veni, Emmanuel is like, who cares? It's absolutely irrelevant. Then we've got After the Tryst, As Others See Us, Three Dawn Rituals, and Untold for various ensembles and things like that. But, it's an entertaining disc. It was a disc of discovery. It was on RCA, isn't this? Or an RCA? Yes. Yes, RCA Catalyst. That was their modern music series, which lasted for 30 seconds, as most modern music series do. But it introduced a lot of us to MacMillan. And then, he just started churning this stuff out. Holy mackerel. with the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. We have here Tryst, which is a big 25-minute long interesting thing. Adam's Rib for brass quintet. They saw the stone had been rolled away. Well, we know what that means. It's only 5 minutes. It only took them 5 minutes and 37 seconds to roll away the stone. And E, Meditation on Iona, with the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, conducted by Joseph Swenson. Again, all this music is approachable, and some of it's quite enjoyable, and some of it, I think, sustains repeated listening, and some doesn't. Symphony, the Vigil, being part 3 of Triduum, an Easter triptych. So it's an Easter triptych, but it's also a symphony. It's 48 minutes long. It's a long sucker. The movements are titled Light, Tuba Insonet Salutaris, and Water, which is 26 minutes and 29 seconds of water. It's hard for me to take that stuff seriously. It is. I just listen to the music. I ignore the titles. They don't help. They really don't. I wonder what happened to MacMillan. What is he doing now? I don't know. I mean, he made a big deal. The World's Ransoming. This thing was somewhat popular for quite a while. It's an English horn concerto, and really a lovely one. It's part 1 of his Easter triptych. What that had to do with the English horn, I have no idea. Then there's a cello concerto, which is part 2 of Triduum. Oh my goodness. And the titles of the movements: The Mockery, The Reproaches, Dearest Wood and Dearest Iron. Raphael Wallfish is an excellent soloist. Christine Pendrell is a fine cor anglais person. Osmo Venska conducts the BBC Scottish Symphony, so that's nice. Then we've got this one. Oh, Epiclesis, a trumpet concerto. Why can't he just call it a trumpet concerto? Well, it's an epiclesis, in case you care. And then we have Ninian, a clarinet concerto. And this has movements with titles again. You ready? The Reaver and the Bull, the Dream of Petgills, a mystical vision of the Christ child. 16 minutes of mystical vision for clarinet and orchestra. This is Alexander Lazarev of the Royal Scottish National with John Cushing clarinet, and John Wallace is a great trumpeter, as we know. Again, the sounds is wonderful. He's lucky to get all this stuff recorded now. The question is anyone going to keep playing it? That's the deal. Here we have his Sinfonietta. Oh, thank God. It's just called Sinfonietta. I love it. I love it. Comic Fair for string, orchestra, and piano. And then Symphony No. 2 in 3 movements. Just marked 1, 2, 3. Hey! And I like that too. So I think MacMillan is a composer worth getting to know. You can dip in anywhere. He has a distinctive style. And see if you enjoy it or not. And don't worry about the titles. They don't help. They really don't. Anyway, there we have it for this particular bit of random reviews from the Overflow room. Keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.